Welcome, welcome, Luminary, to another episode of Star Powered. I'm so excited to be on today because it is Equinox. I'm recording this shortly before the sun moves into Aries of 0 degrees and the new moon tomorrow, and then Pluto moving into Aquarius. Oh me, oh my. Welcome to Star Powered Astrology for Changemakers. I'm Leslie Tagorda, your guide, a Hawaii-born Filipino Jewish astrologer who loves navigating visionaries like you through the spiritual journey of your work so that you can be inspired to lead by your chart and become the luminary leader you were born to be. Now, for those of you on video, I'm super sorry there's no video today, and even though I'm excited to share all this information with you, you might be able to hear in my voice that I am not super with it. I've been came down with a stomach bug earlier this weekend, and I guess it's been going around. Even Jeff was mentioning that he had the stomach bug earlier this week, but you know what? He's all the way in Las Vegas, and I'm all the way here in San Francisco, so it's interesting that like people from all over the place are getting this like really weird stomach bug, which just kind of feels like this massive like knot, like a doubled over feeling in my gut. It's really, really weird. But besides that, I just feel like for most of us with all of these astrological transits, I know that I am not the only one that just feels they just can't get a leg up this year with just a little bit of ease and flow. And you know what? We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Well, despite the stomach bug that I've been kind of managing over the last few days, I still went out and did a few things with my son over the weekend. And I had all these grandiose ideas to record this podcast, and I didn't have the energy or the time. But what was super, super sweet, we were driving in the car, and it's been really rainy here in San Francisco for the last, actually since the beginning of the year. Super, super rainy. But because of that rain, we've had like this early bloom of all of these California poppies. And California poppies are just so beautiful. They're this bright orange color. There are these like little wildflowers that will pop up in the middle of like train tracks or on the side of the road, or like in the cracks of the sidewalk. And they have these like really beautiful, delicate little petals, but they're just the most glorious, flaming orange color, just so beautiful. And we were driving past these train tracks, and I was telling my son, ooh, look at all those California poppies. And then he started telling me all about these California poppies. And I was like, oh, how does my 7-year-old know about all these California poppies? He tells me, he goes, Mom, I think I know why we call this time of year spring. I was like, oh, really, Rocket? Why? Why do we call this time of year spring? He's like, because everything is springing up. Look at all these flowers. All the animals are coming up and the babies are springing up. I love this time. And it just brought so much joy to my heart. And yes, indeed, I feel like Equinox, we have our New Year's, and we have our Lunar New Year's, and we have all of these really kind of arbitrary times. Well, the Lunar New Year is not an arbitrary time because that like literally is the first new moon. The December 31st, you've heard me rant about that before, so I won't go there again. But our equinox, when the sun rises at 0 degrees of Aries in the tropical zodiac in the sky, balancing day and night, is really, I feel, when things come back to life for us, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere. So today I rallied all of my energy to come on and record this, even though it's going to be a little bit late, divine timing. I am here right now. So I want to share with you this special, beautiful equinox and all about the Aries new moon at 0 degrees of Aries. Like, wow. It's pretty incredible. So I want to share about the Aries new moon that follows on the heels of the equinox. And then I'll mention a teeny tiny bit about Pluto moving into Aquarius, but I'll be offering a full episode on not only Pluto moving into Aquarius, but a new series on the planetary processes. We are going to be moving backwards from Pluto and then getting closer to the Earth. So that'll be coming out on Wednesday. So before we dive into all of this some yummy astrological content, I wanted to let you know that Star Powered Circle is open right now for just 4 days for the second quarter. So when I was offering Star Powered Circle earlier in the year, right before New Year's, that was for the year long access. And so now we have the quarterly access, and I'll be announcing these, of course, every equinox as well as the solstice. And what's so exciting about the quarterly memberships, it's if you wanted to try things out, or if you really wanted to take a specific 4-week intensive, then opening it by the quarter is definitely your time. We have had so much fun in Star Powered Circle so far this year, and I feel like things are just beginning to get on a roll. We are delivering right now our live intensive. So each quarter you get one live intensive. It's I call an intensive a 4-week, 4-module training where we deep dive into one aspect of astrology that you can apply into your life and work. Because that, for me, having that inspired action and actually doing things with your astrology is so much more important than just learning about different goddesses and different ideas and just learning about the theory. I actually want you to use astrology in your life and work for ease and impact. And so we've had so much fun working on celestial cycles. And over the 4 weeks, I've brought people through learning all about their annual planning and their harvest cycle according to the sun, looking at their daily moods and how to tune into that with tracking the moon. Then we learned all about the retrogrades. It was super fun. I just love people's eyes get like wide-eyed and starry-eyed, just learning how important these retrograde cycles are and how easy it is to track them on your own natal chart and to discern your own meanings and your own interpretation so that you can work with it with consciousness and intention. And then this week I'll be delivering the outer planets, where we will be looking at the different life cycles, the wheel of life, so to say, with Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Pluto. And holy smokes, I feel like last week when I was writing out that curriculum, I felt like I wrote an entire book. I was going through each of the transits of each of those outer planets and what they signify in our greater life, and then looking at the prominent life cycles that each of these planets give us at certain aspects. Like, of course, the Saturn return, and then you might or might not know about the Uranus opposition that happens at midlife. So it was super, super fun to get all that content out, and now we'll be delivering this final week of quarter 1 with celestial cycles. So all of that to say, quarter 2 celestial cycles, the intensive that we'll be working on is Star Powered Voice. And you can listen to a couple of podcasts back where I talk about everything that we'll be covering in Star Powered Voice and why having your aligned message is so impactful in amplifying and magnifying your story, your message, what you want to change in the world, and really attracting those ideal soul level customers and communities that you are here to work with. So, once you know your Star Powered Voice, there is no guessing anymore at the personality that you need to be bringing out, how you initiate conversations, the different big kind of almost intangible ideals like your vision and your mission and your purpose. Like, we can pinpoint that with exactness with your natal astrology. So really looking forward to deep diving and offering that in Gemini season. So that will be the last month of quarter 2 in June. And if you join right now in the next 4 days, you'll get celestial cycles. That will be in the library for you to watch, and you can still get your questions answered, because every month we have our star hours, which is like this hot seat plus mini speed readings plus coaching all in one. And I've been known to go anywhere from 2 to 3 hours on these things just because I love answering everybody's questions. And people come, even if they don't have questions, and leave with gaining so much information, because ultimately there's always a morsel, a pearl of wisdom for you, even if it was not your question being answered. Don't you just love how that works? So if you're interested in joining Star Powered Circle for quarter 2, we literally just opened the doors and 2 people already signed up. They were just waiting to get in. You'll be joining a membership that, I hate the word membership. So you'll be joining a community of already 42 people and counting. You'll be gaining access to a giant library of astrology trainings, including Star Powered Position, celestial cycles. There's Written in the Stars 101, which is basics on how to read your natal chart for life and work. And then this new one that just came out, and this was a bonus for everybody in quarter 1, Written in the Stars 201, where I dive even deeper into those basic learnings so that you can learn more about the planetary processes, the different aspects and their relevance, deeper dives into each of the houses, and then really looking at all of those planetary processes, which I will be sharing here on the podcast, of course. But in the deep dive training, you get worksheets, you'll be going deeper, and you also get exercises on how to apply those learnings and teachings into your work. So again, just super excited. So excuse my little commercial here, but I'm just like really just overjoyed at how impactful and how people are just absolutely loving this Loving Star Powered Circle. People just keep on telling me every day. So if you want to read some testimonials, head on over to starpowered.com/circle. The doors close at the end of the week on the 24th, and you gain access to the entire community and the astrology library on April 1st for the next 3 months. All right, my friends, I know you want to hear about the equinox and the Aries new moon, so let's dive in. And so I've been taking this Astronomy for Astrologers course, and it's everything my heart absolutely loves. I think I mentioned before that I was an astronomy major, not knowing that you could study the stars in a symbolic and, metaphysical way with astrology. I think you might have heard that when I was like 6 years old, I knew at that time that I wanted to study the stars. That's all I would tell my mom. Mom, I want to study the stars. I want to study the stars. And I loved everything about space. So we just thought that normal progression would be into astronomy. Then, of course, in undergraduate, when I was also studying to become a musician as a music major, and then the calculus and the physics got too much, that's when I started dropping everything. And it feels so wonderful to return back to astronomy for astrologers. And so, we know that the equinox happens when the sun rises at that midpoint on the horizon, like at least from the Northern Hemisphere. As we get towards the summer, the sun rises more north on the horizon, and in the winter, the sun rises more south on the horizon. And of course, we flip that for those of us on the Southern Hemisphere. And the reason why the sun kind of wavers back and forth from north to south, north and back up north and back up south every year isn't because the earth is wobbling, but it is because as the earth is revolving around the sun, taking about a year to go those 360 degrees around the sun to return back to its place every 365 days. So approximately a degree a day around the sun. The earth is actually tilted on an axis of about 23 degrees. So that North Pole and the South Pole of the Earth are tilting at certain times a year away or nearer the sun, which causes us to have that 23-degree angle. So if you think about it, and you might have heard about the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn, growing up in Hawaii, the Tropic of Cancer was very much a part of our daily lives just because Hawaii is right on top of the Tropic of Cancer. The Tropic of Cancer is 23 degrees north in latitude from the equator. And of course, you already know that the equator is that widest part of the circle that like splits the earth into a northern and a southern hemisphere. Well, the Tropic of Cancer is 23 degrees north of the equator, and the Tropic of Capricorn is the 23 degrees south of the equator. So because the earth is tilted at 23 degrees, the earth is moving around the sun, and at the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere, the sun is crossing the earth at that Tropic of Cancer. And for those of us in Hawaii, we get these days that are zero shadow days because the sun is directly above. It is so cool to witness that. And at equinox, both the March equinox that initiates spring in the northern hemisphere, the September equinox that initiates autumn in the northern hemisphere, that is when the sun is crossing and rising above the equator. And so this spring, that is where it is at 0 degrees of Aries and initiating that equinox, the exact balance of day and light. No matter where you live on the earth, the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere, at the equinox, the length of the day equals the length of the night. You already know, but ancient people across the world celebrated this day. Every place from in Cambodia, the temple at Angkor Wat, a grand Hindu, now Buddhist temple, the central tower is crowned with the sun on the morning of the equinoxes. And at Chichen Itza in Mexico, there's a beautiful Mayan pyramid that has all of these kinds of steps that the shadows cast on the equinox show the serpent god Kukulkan at the precise moment of the equinox. Like, it is so freaking cool. I can't wait to one day to be able to travel to these places to be able to see them with my own eyes. Now, for all of us, this is really feeling like a new start, like a real new year. And indeed, it is an astrological new year with that 0 degrees of Aries. This is why Aries is talked about as the initiator and as the cardinal go-getter. And 0 degrees of Aries is the beginning of the beginning. Now, in tropical Western astrology, astrologers measure the sky from this Aries of 0 degrees point. Where the sun crosses at that equator is the Aries of 0 degrees point on the ecliptic as we look out at the sky. Now, this is just a little bit nerdy things here, more detailed. This is a little bit different than Vedic or Yotish astrology, where we're not looking now at the actual constellation. So we're not looking at the Aries constellation, which has moved on because of the precession of the equinoxes, but that's a whole nother topic for another time. If you're interested in that, let me know and I'll think about how to put together a podcast episode about that. But that 0 degrees of Aries point is how Western astrologers measure the sky in 30-degree increments from 0 to 29 degrees. That creates our different zodiacal seasons. In Western tropical astrology, again, these are seasons and they are not correlated to the actual constellations in the sky, which are all of different varying sizes. Not all of them are 30 degrees and some of them are way bigger than 30 degrees. So as the equinox is initiated today here in the Northern Hemisphere for spring, and for those of us in the Southern Hemisphere for fall, the sun reaches 0 degrees of Aries on the ecliptic. This equinox has even more initiating magic, with the moon meeting the sun, who will still be at Aries of 0 degrees less than 24 hours later, sparking a most beautiful and powerful of new moons. It is so wonderful. We get so many new astrological starts. I mean, I know I need it. Can we just have a fresh start already? We can choose to start over and over again with each new breath. May our equinox balance your needs, spark your initiative, and allow you to dive headfirst into the Aries go-get-em you need in your change-making work. So the equinox happens at exactly March 20th at 2:24 p.m. Pacific, 5:24 p.m. Eastern, a season of new beginnings. And this season, may you find your balance between yourself and others. Okay, so let's talk about this new moon in Aries. Happens on Tuesday, March 21st, 10:23 a.m. Pacific, 1:23 p.m. Eastern. Oh my goodness. We are so lucky we get 2 Aries new moons this year. This first one at Aries of 0 degrees and the next one at Aries of 29 degrees. But this is just like, if you're going to be doing just one new moon ritual this year, this has to be your one. This is such a beautiful new moon to me, with Sun, Moon, Mercury, Chiron, and Jupiter all in Aries. Then we have the North Node, Venus and Uranus in Taurus. And we have Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. Then our outliers, both Pluto and Mars in conjunct. Pluto at those very final degrees and minutes of Capricorn, where, I'll share about that later. And Mars, who finally left its shadow zone out of Gemini and just getting ready to go into Cancer. There's something to be said about that Mars-Pluto in conjunct that's happening over the next couple of days until, it's applying at that new moon. And what I really want us to, I'm not a mundane astrologer, but I know that on a mundane level, there's a lot of power dynamics being shifted and changed right now. And you can sense that with the different banking collapses and takeovers that are happening right now. But gratefully, we have a Saturn Mars trine. Saturn is kind of holding up the good advocacy and activism of that Mars to me. And then it's also beautiful that we just have Venus in her home sign of Taurus next to the North Node, which she's just like glowing up and really holding the peace for the rest of the chart. So there's nothing really that I am fearful of per this chart. While things can feel like there might be some kind of energetic dynamic, again, when we are dealing with astrology, the most that we can do is always take the high road, always ride above everything else that's going on in the sky, and always take care of our own needs first. That is the first and foremost, most primary thing, because there is a lot of energy in here. So again, with the next couple of days, watch out before you cross the road. Just be super aware of things in the world and you're going to be okay. So let's talk exactly about this new moon. I kind of went all over the place because I'm just like looking at this chart and I'm like, woohoo! I get so excited. But I call this new moon Spark Your Trailblazing, because to say that this new moon is epic is an understatement. Our third new moon of the year and our first of 2 Aries new moons, which our next one in April 19th is a rare hybrid eclipse. So very exciting at that 29 degrees of Aries mark. I'm super glad that Pluto will be moved into Aquarius by then. And smashed in between these 2 thresholds of energy, the equinox that will have happened just less than 24 hours earlier and 2 days before mighty Pluto moves into Aquarius, breaking a 20-year cycle. Now, I know you can feel it. This tremendous new energy is palpable. You're bound to be buzzing at this time, and it feels like you're being asked to step through not 1, but 3 consecutive thresholds or portals within a short 72-hour period. On top of all these cosmic shifts, half of the major planets are partying in Aries. Like I said, the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Chiron, and Jupiter, all in this passionate fire sign. Now, with this much cardinal fire, so cardinal are the self-starters in the sky, and fire, that element, is the passionate, creative, inspired energies in the sky. We are all being asked how we can embody this energy to take leaps of faith and be exactly who you want without burning out. To truly embody Aries is to be your best, where you focus on that competitive edge inward and claim your prize. After all, you are the best at something, right? And if you don't know what you're the best at, well, then maybe it's time to take star-powered position, because that shows you how you can position yourself and how you can radiate your one-of-kind superpowers through your sun in your life and work. And remember, there is no one in the world that is you who does things like you do, okay? So this new moon, you are being asked to embody your best, to be the best. And to be the best really just simply means to be your best. You already know new moons are times of initiation, intention, and asking the universe for what you want so that the universe can help co-create with you. And I want to acknowledge that, yes, it's often difficult to get clear on what you want. Society, culture, the media is really good at selling you what you should want and what they want you to buy. It takes practice to clear out the noise of the shoulds, expectations, to go after what you want. So with Aries, your two big questions are, how do you want to be the best or the first? And you know what? You're allowed to be the best or the first. Permission to be absolutely the best, absolutely the first. And what kind of initiative are you willing to take? Now, to initiate is to lead. To lead is to step forward with courage. It doesn't matter if you're leading one person or a million. There are people looking to you to make the first move. This new moon is on your side to create a fresh intention around your leadership, identity, and initiative. You get to choose the very best version of your self-identity, how you want people to see you, and the spark you want to ignite in the world. Okay? So really, what I'm really saying there is, if Aries is me and Libra is we, the me, of course, exists in relationship to everyone else. And if you are not deciding how you want to be seen, how you want people to treat you, how you want to identify, then other people are going to choose that for you. And often when you let other people choose that for you, it's going to be wrong. So this new moon gets super, super clear on how you want to lead, how you want to identify, and how you want to take initiative so you can be your very best. So a couple of Astro Notes for our Astro Techie people out here. The new moon, sun and moon, is sandwiched between Neptune and Mercury, and asking how you can integrate both your logical and your spiritual mind to clarify your call to action. Again, we don't have to just depend on this masculine Western idea of it's all logic. We can bring in so much intuition and softness of the spiritual to help clarify what we want. Chiron, the wounded healer, who, Venus first made her pass, and then Jupiter is going to make their pass, and then Mercury is going to make their pass, and the sun's going to make their pass. Like, Chiron is being pinged up and down, left and right, because Chiron is like, hey, luminary, we need your wounded healing and your wounded leadership, because you make the best leaders, because you've been through these challenges. You know what it takes to persevere, to excel, and to overcome. So with Chiron, the wounded healer, and Jupiter in Aries, they're asking how you can believe and be grateful for all your previous challenges, that these previous challenges and your wounds and your hardships were created for you so that you could integrate and learn. Now, how will you integrate these realizations into your authentic Aries leadership and initiative? Chiron does not want to hide. Chiron does not want to wallow and be a victim of their wounds. Chiron wants to exceed and wants to share everything he's learned. So how will you embody Chiron in your life and work with your leadership and initiative? Now, this new moon and a lot of that Aries energy is, of course, squaring off with Mars at those last degrees of Gemini. And with Mars, Mars is really asking you, how are you going to once and for all transmute your fears, your anxieties, your resentments, your anger into motivation, your drive, and your physical vitality? What if everything that pisses you off, or everything that makes you scared, or everything that makes you anxious is there as fuel to activate you, to motivate you, to turn your anxiety into advocacy? So let this Mars squaring off with the new moon turn your fear into a big F you to your fear. All right, my friends, let's talk about a couple of new moon personalizations, of course, by the house. Remember that Aries, this new moon is going to be at Aries of 0 degrees. And so first and foremost, if you know how to read your natal chart, look to the house that contains Aries of 0 degrees, because that is the house that is going to be activated. Otherwise, if you don't know, listen to these different activations. I'm going to give you 12 activations for each of the rising signs. And so sometimes these houses are going to be probably before the rising sign that I'm listing here. Trust your intuition and know which personalization is for you. So today, we are going to plant the seeds, or today or sometime 72 hours after the new moon, you are going to plant the seeds to spark an embodied revolution through vulnerability. Now, I want to caveat with that vulnerability. Vulnerability is the strength that creates trust with others. It is not a liability. So today, again, you're going to plant the seeds to spark an embodied revolution through your vulnerable leadership. So if you're an Aries or have 0 degrees of Aries in the first house, through your leadership's natural born initiative taking, identity, and self. Be that leader. If you're a Pisces rising or have 0 degrees of Aries in the second house, you're planting the seeds for your leadership's values, worthiness, and go-get-it resourcefulness. If you're an Aquarius rising or have 0 degrees of Aries in your third house, you're planting the seeds for your leadership's innovative teaching and thought leadership. If you're a Capricorn rising or have Aries of 0 degrees in the fourth house, you're planting the seeds for your leadership's frontline responsibility to build safe spaces. If you're a Sagittarius rising or have Aries of 0 degrees in the fifth house, you're planting the seeds for your leadership's heart-centered, joyful, and charismatic vanguard. If you're a Scorpio rising or have 0 degrees of Aries in the sixth house, you are planting the seeds for your leadership's streamlined systems and effective command. If you're Libra rising or have 0 degrees of Aries in your seventh house, you are planting the seeds for your leadership's committed partnerships and trailblazing connections. If you're a Virgo rising or have Aries of 0 degrees in the eighth house, you are planting the seeds for your leadership's transformative, healing, and trusting initiation. If you are a Leo rising or have 0 degrees of Aries in that ninth house, you are planting the seeds for your leadership's global exploration and visionary trend setting. If you're a Cancer rising or have Aries of 0 degrees in your 10th house, you're planting the seeds for your leadership's delivery as an expert emotional pioneer. If you're a Gemini rising or have Aries of 0 degrees in the 11th house, this is a very, very special new moon intention for you, because it's an 11th house intention where you're planting the seeds for the year ahead. This one, you're planting the seeds for your leadership's community building and social impact activism. If you are a Taurus rising or have that 0 degrees of Aries in the 12th house, you're planting the seed for your leadership's passionate, soul-affirming wisdom. So, my friends, I hope you have a most beautiful equinox. I hope you fill your cup with things that give you creativity and fertility of the mind, body, and spirit, and have a most blessed new moon. I hope that you choose to do a beautiful new moon ritual that sparks your initiative, your leadership, and your self-identity so that you can be your very best. Lastly, doors close to Star-Powered Circle on Friday the 24th. So you have exactly 4 days to join in for this next quarter, where you'll get all of the goodies of the community, plus a full astrology library, monthly meetups for new moon ceremonies and star hours, and then of course our delivery of star-powered voice in Gemini season in June. All right, my friends, if this is for you, head on over to starpowered.com/circle. I'll see you soon. As a human design projector, my energy shines more brightly because of people like you who share my work. If you enjoy this podcast and want to help build a movement of innovative astrology and leadership and spark the intuitive revolution, please rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts, or better yet, share this podcast with your change-making besties. We will all shine brighter together as we create the future we want to see.